Government cannot operate like a business because government deals with people. That's the argument trotted out every time someone suggests, outsourcing or frankly, almost any kind of fiscally responsible government reform. But the folks at a famous car company have found a way to feed the hungry that's better, cheaper, and faster. I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Stephen Green and Bill Whittle. Well, men, the folks at Toyota's American operation offered to donate expertise in addition to 1 million meals to feed the hungry after the Hurricane Sandy disaster on the East Coast. They pitched the idea to the country's largest food-focused charity, the Food Bank of New York, which was skeptical at first. The food bank does a lot of contract work for the city, for the state, and for the federal government related to providing food for short-term and long-term needs. Two experts in Toyota's continuous improvement process spent 8 weeks helping food bank workers and others to find small, incremental, and cheap process improvements. Smaller boxes allowed them to pack a truck with 50% more food. A better system made it easier and safer and reduced the time it took to pack a single box from 3 minutes to 11 seconds. Ultimately, they delivered boxes of food to 400 additional families in half the time. Now, Bill Whittle, in a food bank cafeteria operation, the Toyota people reduced wait time from 90 minutes to 18. What do you think of that?
I think they ought to get the DMV and just take it over. And I think they ought to take over everything else too. This is the entire argument that we make every single day in this country on this side of the aisle. We make it every single day. When you are responsible, when there is somebody in charge, when there's somebody's money at stake, when there are results that have to be measured, when you have to deliver something and are held responsible, is absolutely astonishing what you can get done. Behold Federal Express and the post office. It's just that simple. We see it every single day. I say put Toyota in charge of the federal government. I say if they can take something from 3 minutes to 11 seconds, what can they do with a $1.6 trillion deficit? I bet you they could turn it into a surplus. I bet you anything they could. Honest to God, Scott, the reason that these stories are so illuminating is because they just go to show you how much room there is for improvement and how god-awfully wasteful, stupid, bloated, fossilized, fat, and dumb this government gets every single day. Give them a chance. Give them a chance. Put us in, coach. You know, you got a guy on the bench with his arm raised. He goes in, he scores 75 points in a quarter. Well, probably just a fluke, I guess.
Well, the funny thing is, we're dealing with a government subcontractor at this point. Imagine if you took this into the actual government where government employees live and work. Steve, Bill mentioned the Department of Motor Vehicles. Is there any other aspect of government that you think could use a business-like approach to efficiency?
Well, all of it, of course, but look, first of all, I want to say Toyota's an amazing company. It doesn't surprise me they were able to teach somebody this. They're the ones who taught GM how to become a much better car maker in the 80s and 90s with the New United Motor Manufacturing. The car plant, the joint ownership thing they had in the Bay Area, I think it was in Fremont, that produced the Geo line for several years there. They needed to learn how to work with American workers. GM needed to learn Japanese efficiency, and together that's what they did there. That Toyota can go in anywhere and do this kind of thing doesn't surprise me. But look, there's no competitive pressure on government. You can teach government these things. You can help them along, but there's no competitive pressure to make them keep these new efficiencies. So some new boss can come into your agency or department next year and decide that he's got, I think we like the bigger boxes better. A buddy of mine makes these bigger boxes. We're going to use the bigger boxes. So there's nothing to enforce. There are no market pressures to keep these efficiencies. They could be gone just like that tomorrow, and it doesn't matter what Toyota does at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And well, the good news is Toyota is traveling around the country, actually going into nonprofits and helping them in this way, sort of under the radar, at least under my radar. Now, meanwhile, elsewhere in Gotham City, the New York Post reports that some food stamp recipients buy groceries with their EBT cards, load them into barrels, and ship them to Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, where they're sold at a handsome profit by undercutting prices in local stores. Well, Bill, isn't it good to know that poor island folk can still get high-quality, low-cost American food products in addition to the $523 million in foreign aid that the U.S. sends to the Caribbean each year, thanks in part to New York's EBT entrepreneurs with a heart.
Which poor island people are you talking about? The ones in Haiti, Dominican Republic, or the ones in Manhattan? You know, the amazing thing about this is, first of all, it just goes to show you that the system not only can be gamed, but it is gamed. It's constantly gamed. EBT cards are just simply a way to distribute wealth from the people who work hard to make a living to people who often don't. Not always. I'm certainly not trying to say that's the truth, but when you look at the amount of fraud on EBT cards, it's absolutely astonishing. The second and much more important point, I think, is this. If the people who are getting these EBT transactions, who are going to an enormous amount of trouble to buy low and sell high, including shipping and all of the packaging and all the delivery and all of the distribution systems, if they put a little tiny bit of the effort that they put into making that economic deal happen fraudulently into actual hard work in the actual marketplace, they'd all probably be entrepreneurial millionaires by now. Don't you find that interesting that these people who claim to be so disadvantaged that they require benefits from the rest of us have the gumption and the wherewithal and the brains and the work to take this stuff, package it, ship it, distribute it, and collect a profit? Don't you think that effort could be used to, help the economy for the rest of us? Then they can start paying some taxes?
Steve, do you think if we hired Toyota to overhaul the federal food stamp program, that there would be more people starving in the streets of New York and, for that matter, Kingston, Jamaica, than ever before because those greedy capitalists were running things?
No. Look, government generates poverty. We're 4 years into the so-called recovery now, and we still have record numbers of Americans and increasing. Unemployment is going down at the same time that benefits are going up. This is insane. This is what Obama has done. This is what Obamonomics has done. This is what Obamacare has done. Government breeds poverty. Private enterprise creates wealth. It creates jobs. It creates plenty. Why can't we learn that lesson? Why can't we just learn it for good?
Well, when people think about making government more efficient, running it more like a business, I think often they imagine the cold, clammy hand of capitalism reaching in and squeezing efficiency from the poor and from the weak. The bottom line focus they assume is going to result in some sort of social Darwinism where the less fit can no longer survive. But there's another way to think about this. How about a focus on results? How about measuring what we do against what we're actually trying to accomplish and then seeing, honestly evaluating, if our exertions actually match our intentions? There's a way of looking at things that is both humane and efficient, and I think it's something worth looking at in light of Toyota's example. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the entire Trifecta crew at PJTV.com, I'm Scott Ott.